Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. So welcome to today's webinar on successful openBIM implementation in Norway. So I'm Petru Kamal from Innovacia Webinar, and I will host our online session today. On behalf of the organizing team, thank you for registering and joining our webinar today. I believe that our participants joining across different countries and professional backgrounds, from academicians. Okay, I believe there are some professional backgrounds from academicians, government agencies, construction and technology sectors. So all coming together in this afternoon to explore how openBIM drives innovation and collaboration in built environment. So as we know, Norway is one of the countries in Europe recognized to what we call as recognized as one of the pioneers in digital construction. Besides, Norway has become one of the reference point for how openBIM can truly support in terms of interoperability and data-driven decisions in construction industry. So to explain about this topic further, I would like to introduce our speaker for today. So Petru Conduraru, founder of BIM Voice Academy. So I would like to give a bit overview about our speaker today. Petru is a multilingual, fluent in native Romanian, Norwegian, and of course English. Right. So besides, he has an education background on engineering degree in civil, industrial, and agricultural construction. So currently, he is the founder for BIM Voice Academy in Norway, which is an online learning portal that specialized in openBIM and open source BIM software, which is one of them is Bonsai. So if you all don't know about Bonsai, Bonsai is one of the plugins in one of the software 3D modeling software called Blender. So for those who doesn't recognize about what is Blender and Bonsai, so you can search more about this after this webinar. Right. So after coordinating IFC workflows and data validation about uh, 1 billion 1 billion pound.
Euros.
Yeah, euros. Sorry,
It's okay. It's almost the
euros
same.
in Oslo, Norway. He concluded that mastering openBIM doesn't require expensive software, but requires the right knowledge and approach, which almost 2 decades of experience in the construction field and many years in BIM and openBIM. So Petru now helps BIM professionals, right, and projects and organizations to succeed with BIM IFC adoption, implementation, and optimization, and offers consultation for bonsai and openBIM workflows using practical field-tested methods from real project experience. So starting with this first event, we at Innovacia is glad to collaborate with Petru and BIM Voice in providing openBIM training and learning for the Malaysian market. So before I pass to our speaker today, I would like to invite all participants. You may ask the question. You may ask the question in the chat box, and I will read the inquiries lah. So you may ask, or also you may ask directly to Petru. Maybe at the end of the webinar. So during the webinar, you can also all the participants can also ask any questions lah in the chat box. So without further ado, I would like to invite Mr. Petru. Now I would like Petru to present our topic today. So Petru, so all floor to yours.
Okay, thank you very much. Very nice introduction. I really appreciate it. Thank you very much, everyone, for being here, for taking the time for investing this time in the trying to learn what's happening in Norway. I really appreciate that. And thank you very much, Rahul, for organizing this and taking care of this, of the logistics and everything. I really appreciate this. I'm going to go over some slides, and if you have any questions, you can ask while I present, and then like was already mentioned, you can also ask me at the end. My name is Petru Conduraru. I'm the founder of BIMvoice. I started as a YouTube channel in 2020, so over 5 years ago. And I'm thrilled to share insights from Norway's revolutionary approach to construction. As the founder of BIMvoice, I dedicated my career to advancing openBIM practices. As an openBIM consultant and trainer, assisting organizations in implementing IFC-based model-driven workflows, and I'm specialized in information delivery specification, IFC automations, and practical openBIM education. That's the focus. Because for the last 3 years, I've been working on a project which was built using IFC models, mostly. Not only, but mostly. And many people would call that drawing-less project, but it was not really drawing-less. That's why I like to call it model-based, because it was not only models. We still had few drawings, but not many. So that's why I like to use that term instead. So building with only IFC models in Norway, a drawing-free approach to construction. Again, like I said, most of the time is not drawing-free, but close to being drawing-free. Drawings are playing a much less vital role, and most of the structures are built using models, and most of them are IFC models. So Norway is pioneering a revolutionary approach to infrastructure construction, building entirely from digital 3D models without traditional 2D drawings, or with few 2D drawings, to be sincere. This presentation explores how Norwegian projects are achieving this transformation, the compelling benefits driving adoption, and the practical workflows enabling success across tunnels, bridges, and major infrastructure. Again, this is happening actually at a national level in buildings as well, but I feel that the infrastructure projects have the lead, and the buildings are lagging a bit behind if they are not hospitals. Hospitals have gone also very far away when it comes to this, but the private buildings and also the public ones for smaller projects, they are still behind infrastructure. On the other hand, infrastructure has gone much further just because the risks are so much higher and there are so much more money involved. And it was worthwhile to implement openBIM, to improve collaboration and documentation and the project outcomes. So the client in the end will end up with better documentation and save money on their projects. So the Norwegian revolution from paper to pixels. Across Norway, major infrastructure projects are now designed, reviewed, and constructed using only BIM models. No conventional blueprints required. Norwegian public infrastructure clients have begun enforcing a model-only delivery policy, meaning roads, bridges, tunnels, and other works are built completely from digital models. By the way, can you hear me well? Is the sound quality good? No noise or something like that, right?
Yeah.
Can you confirm that?
Yeah. Nice.
Okay.
That's nice. That's nice. Right.
Cool. Thank you. The landmark Ranselva Bridge exemplifies this shift. A 634 meters long bridge near Oslo, engineered and constructed entirely from BIM models without a single traditional drawings. This isn't an isolated experiment. It represents Norway's broader push towards full digitalization of design and construction. I'm mentioning this project because you can search for this. You can search online and you are going to find many videos, interviews, and documents. It has been shared with the public. The project I worked on for the past 3 years, unfortunately, it's a classified project because it's a critical infrastructure for water supply for Oslo. And I cannot share specifically details from there. But how IFC and openBIM is used, that's another story. So that shouldn't be a problem. Okay, like I mentioned, this is not just an isolated experiment. This is happening right now, especially on all the new projects are requiring this and have this strategy. They expect from the beginning that the general contractors who are going to build the projects, they have this know-how and this experience, and they aim to build this. They say that they had a rate of 95% of IFC exchange, and the rest was other kind of information. This bridge, Rand-Selfa bridge, stands as a physical proof that drawing-free construction works at scale. This sophisticated structure, completed between 2019 and 2020, showcased Norway's BIM capabilities through international collaboration and advanced digital workflows. Such drawing-free projects exemplify Norway's commitment to fully digital model-based construction, setting a precedent for infrastructure delivery worldwide. So let's dial back a bit and let's talk about why build without drawings. Which might be the compelling business case for that. And there are several powerful benefits that have driven Norway's transition to model-only construction, creating a compelling case for decision makers and technical professionals alike. These models are used as a single source of truth. Using a central BIM model as the authoritative design source eliminates the duplication involved in creating drawings. There is a detail here which is important to remember. There is no time wasted on making drawings. If you have good enough information models, then you can use them for many purposes on a project. And you get to save a lot of time. This greatly reduces errors and inconsistencies. No need to produce and update hundreds of drawings means significantly less potential for human error. Enhanced collaboration. A rich BIM model provides an excellent platform for information sharing. All stakeholders can extract needed data directly in a format that's easier to visualize than 2D drawings, transcending language barriers and improving interdisciplinary coordination. Field efficiency. Construction crews benefit from 3D visual references that provide intuitive understanding. The Norwegian Road Authority observed significant reductions in change orders when BIM models formed the design basis. Fewer surprises means less rework, and then a better outcome for the client. Strategic advantages, 4D, 5D integration and beyond. Integrated planning capabilities. A fully detailed model carries information that feeds directly into scheduling, 4D time sequencing, and cost estimation, 5D tools, enabling Norwegian projects to achieve better construction planning and control. Automated quantity extraction, pull quantity straight from the model at any stage for rapid, accurate takeoffs. Clash detection automatically flags spatial conflicts between disciplines before construction begins. Carbon footprint analysis, leverage embedded object data for sustainability assessments. And logistic planning, optimize material delivery and site logistics using model data. This actually, logistics, has been extremely important for us when building a project. And this tunnel was built with a tunnel boring machine. It was used extensively in the planning of logistics, because there was little space on the site close to the project, and they had to plan very well where they are going to put all these things. And this is one of the use cases, for example, that I didn't even think about when I started on that project. Yeah, so clash detection, ensuring buildability before breaking ground. Of course, the multidisciplinary coordination is extremely important. When all disciplines, structural, mechanical, electrical, contribute to one federated model, clash detection automatically flags spatial conflicts that would be nearly impossible to catch comprehensively with separate drawings, or it's much more difficult. Complex reinforcement verification. This is extremely important. One Norwegian project featured extremely heavy reinforcement and post-tensioning in tight bridge segments. By modeling every rebarring cable and running clash detection, designers ensured congested elements would actually fit and be constructible in the field. And also reduced field adjustments. The result is a buildable design with far fewer on-site adjustments, saving time and reducing costly rework during construction. This also has been a very critical, played a critical role in my project, where all the reinforcement, I got it as a model. And the same models were used by me to check if we have all the information that we need to build the structure. The same models have been used by the reinforcement producer to bend all the bars and ship it to the site. The same reinforcement has been used on site by the teams, by the crews, to assemble it, to install it before concrete pour. So it's extremely important. Visualization, engaging stakeholders beyond the project team. A model serves as a powerful communication tool extending well beyond the core project team. In Norway, regulators and inspectors now review designs in model from form rather than on paper, improving their ability to understand and comment on projects. Site crews use models to visualize upcoming work in context, for example, using augmented reality to overlay the model onto the actual site. The clarity helps align everyone's expectations, from public stakeholders viewing renderings to workers using AR for precise installation guidance. I'll be honest about one thing. AR still has to catch up. AR still has to become much better. It's not so accurate. It helps, especially in the beginning of works, and if you don't need millimeter accuracy, okay? Still, the go-to tools are tablets, computers, laptops, and BIM kiosks that I'm going to cover a bit further. So these technologies still have a way to go, but they provide some light value already. How does Norway actually build without drawings? Achieving successful drawing-free projects requires specific practices, technologies, and cultural shifts. Norway's experience over the past decade has revealed several critical success factors. Open standards as the backbone. Foundation 1. IFC, the universal language. A cornerstone of Norway's strategy is the use of industry foundation classes, IFC, as an openBIM standard. All major stakeholders exchange models via IFC, ensuring interoperability across different software platforms. This is extremely important because let me give you an example. In the project I worked, we had over 10 different authoring tools. There is no way to, from different vendors, like there were 4 or 5 different software providers. It's impossible to find a common ground if you don't use IFC. So here it's extremely, extremely important. On Radselva Bridge, 95% of all information was transferred through IFC files. Let's say models. I don't like to call IFC files only. Between design team and contractor. By using a non-proprietary format, Norwegian projects avoid vendor lock-in and ensure the digital model can be accessed by anyone using their preferred software. Sorry for taking breaks and drinking water, but I get my mouth dry, so I have to do that once in a while. Critical distinction.
It's okay.
Right.
Sure.
Thanks. Critical distinction. IFC models become the contract documents themselves. Norwegian infrastructure projects are now officially approved and delivered via IFC models rather than drawings. The digital model serves as the legal design reference. That's why they have to be good, because that's one of the reasons why models are always considered just as an extra check to a checklist, because they are not used as the legal documentation. And that's why people are not putting enough effort into them to make them better, because they are not the main source of information. Foundation 2, comprehensive information-rich models. So to replace drawings, the BIM model must contain all the detail and data that engineers and builders need. Norwegian, by the way, in my role as a BIM coordinator, I worked for a general contractor. So I was not in the design. I was the only BIM coordinator on this project. And my role was to make sure that all the information that we get from the design team, which was composed of over 50 people, it was correct. Because if not, then my teams couldn't use the information, right? So I had to quality assure everything to make sure that their needs are met. So to talk to them, to understand what they need, what information they need, and think where can we put it, where is the best to put it. and then to help them with training, to show them how to use the tools to be able to build like this. Yeah, Norwegian projects have pushed BIM to very high levels of development, far beyond generic early stage models. Extreme detail, the E6 highway contract required modeling every single piece of steel or rebar. From early design, thousands of individual elements traditionally shown only in 2D shop drawings. That's the same for me. Like I said, in my 3 years there, I didn't build any structure, any concrete structure without a model. I didn't have any drawing for reinforcement. Everything has been built using only models. There were some drawings, but these drawings were always like illustrating some details, some specific details about how to assemble some specific things. Or some principles, right? Sketches most like, but not to be used on site. Rich attributes. A Ranselva bridge model contain over 200,000 reinforcing bars and 250 post-tension cables. Each element carried approximately 50 attributes of data: material, dimensions, IDs, construction phases. Yeah, I didn't count how many bars I had in my models while I worked there, but it was quite normal for me to have few thousands bars in each model, and I had dozens of models. So I guess I had much more than this. Yeah, also almost 50 points of information for each element, close to that. Automated outputs. Contractors can automatically extract bar bending schedules directly from the model at any time instead of relying on separately prepared drawings. Yeah, that's exactly what we did, and that was also what the steel producer did as well, the reinforcement provider. Foundation 3, robust collaboration workflows. And for this infrastructure, like you mentioned in the beginning, that I used, and I have to highlight that Bonsai BIM has played a crucial role in my job. I could have not done my job without Bonsai BIM. Bonsai BIM helped me to save a lot of time and to do things that are not possible to be done with other tools. I had access to any different tool, but that doesn't mean that it's possible to achieve something like this only with free open source tools. You still need commercial platforms that are going to enable all your workflows, to enable and make all these models accessible to everyone. Bonsai BIM, it's an amazing tool, but it's for power users most of the time, or for clients, or for people who are looking for something specifically, but it's not something that is going to be used on site or something like that. You need something that is much easier accessible. And I'm talking about platforms like Dalux, ACC, Trimble Connect, like platforms that are available on mobile as well, not only on computers. Yeah, I'll say more about this in the future. And if you have more questions, yeah, I can take them. So building without drawings necessitates close collaboration between all parties: designers, contractors, clients, and authorities. Early and continuous coordination is the hallmark of Norwegian model-only projects. Shared model environments. Randselva's design team was spread across 4 countries, but worked in a shared model environment, Tekla model sharing, with contributions merging in real time. This was the case also for us in the project that I work. We had the design team. One design team was sitting in Oslo. Another design team was sitting also in Oslo, but had members from Italy and from Poland, and they collaborated live in the project. Yeah, so BIM collaboration format is another important one. Teams used BCF to communicate issues. Designers in different offices resolved clashes by tagging locations in 3D model, rather like in BIM model, not 3D model, because it's not just a 3D model, rather than exchanging 2D markups. Integrated reviews. This was very normal to have weekly meetings to go through this. Regular model review meetings combine coordination sessions and cloud-based issue tracking, align everyone's expectations before construction begins. Right, let's go to the next one. Foundation 4, digital tools for field usage. Like here, I'll cover the critical infrastructure, digital infrastructure that is needed that we used in this case to be able to do it. So how do field workers access model information without drawings? Norway has deployed a suite of user-friendly digital tools that bring models to construction sites. Rugged tablets. This is something very normal that, and they are not distributed by worker, but by team. Each team used to have at least one, maybe two in some cases, depending on the intensity and the complexity of the work they had to do. On-site workers access models on tablets, running BIM viewer apps. On Randselva Bridge, crews use tablets and site offices with large screen to pan, zoom, and query the 3D model for dimensions or details. Like these large screens or site offices are called BIM kiosks. I don't know what's the word in English, to be honest, but it's like a BIM station, like a big box with a TV which has a screen of over 40 inches, I think 43 inches or something like that, and with a powerful computer where the teams could meet. For example, in our case, these guys were going before they had a meeting in the morning before they were starting, and they were using this BIM kiosk because it was in a tent outside the tunnel. They were using it to plan their day or what and how they are going to work before noon. And after that, depending, like some days for the whole day, some days for maybe for the half day, and then when they had breakfast at noon, they took another one, and so on. So these were extremely important. We had only one outside at the entrance in the tunnel, but there are other projects which are involved which can have much more. Like for example, another part of this project where also my company was working, but it was another team. They had like 5 BIM stations in one. And they are very useful for everyone, not only for reinforcement work, but also for pipes and for everything. Yeah, so interactive BIM kiosks with large screens provide a central hub for all project participants to review BIM models, access updated information, and conduct virtual walkthroughs directly on the construction site. Yeah, so this is for end users, right? For people who have to access the information. Cloud platforms. Platforms like Trimble Connect or Solibri. Solibri is not a cloud platform, actually. This is wrong. Dalux. In my case, we had, of course, SharePoint, Trimble Connect, and Dalux. Dalux was the main tool in our case, Dalux Field. Solibri, I had Solibri as well, but yeah, in my case, I didn't use Solibri. In the other project, like I mentioned, they were using Solibri on their computers. In my case, I chose to go for Dalux to simplify the user friendliness, because it's much easier to use a CDE than Solibri, which is more advanced and is more for power users like BIM coordinators. So yeah, it was very good because they could pin down questions on model elements, creating seamless two-way information flow. And skill pairing, this is extremely important. Not everyone is tech savvy or as good as anyone with some tools, right? So that's why it's extremely important to pair this. But you always can find people who are more interested in technology. So you always have to find them, to find these champions, technology champions, and see them and train them. And they can spread that and support the rest of the team who is not literate, who doesn't have the skills, right? So this is extremely important. It was part of this. Now, for this to happen, there has to be something, right? And this is a long journey. This did not happen overnight. Now I hear about other pilot projects or places or companies or clients which are trying to emulate what is happening in Norway. And through my work, this is my focus: to export and help as many people as possible in organizations and countries to embrace this openBIM practices without wasting so much time and resources trying to reinvent the wheel. But this journey was not so easy. They spent a lot of time and resources to get here, but they finally got it to work. But it took like roughly 20 years. And there are still a lot of things that can be improved and will be improved in the near future, right? But they have a workable version. That's what's happening right now. A workable version that is expanding at national level. And this journey started like this. Norway reached this advanced state through forward-thinking public policy, industry innovation, and successful pilot projects. Here are milestone achievements. In 2008, it was the first openBIM directive created by Statsbygg. Norway's Public Building Authority issued SIMBA version 1.0, mandating IFC-based BIM models instead of paper drawings, making Norway one of the first countries to require BIM for all government projects. Between 2009 and 2016, health sector BIM adoption. Southern Eastern Norway Health Authority mandated open BIM strategy for Østfold Hospital, 85,500 square meters hospital in 2009. By 2016, all large hospital projects required IFC compliant BIM processes. 2015-2016, road agencies BIM first policies. Nearwire required BIM level 3 delivery with no general requirement for drawings. Norwegian Public Road Administration began accepting fully model-based design submission in 2016. 2017, Railway Authority BIM strategy. And these guys, keep an eye on these guys, because these guys have come furthest away. They started latest, but they are doing the best. If it's one of them that you should follow right now, it's them. They have invested a lot in their internal BIM team. They expanded it a lot, and now they are living up to their strategy, and they have a very, very bold strategy. Bane NOR approved its first BIM strategy with early pilots like Ringeriksbanen, yielding 90% engineering cost reduction. Between 2015 and 19, Smistad Hydropower, one of Norway's first drawings-free mega projects with 27 kilometers of tunnels and underground powerhouses, fully modeled under EPC contract. Randselva Bridge, between 2019 and 2022, have to get my ears properly. I was thinking because that it was not possible to build that bridge in 1 year. So I definitely wrote wrong in the previous one because it was 2020. World's longest cantilever bridge, 634 meters, built without drawings, with 95% of design data exchange via IFC models. E6 highway, 2020-2025, Ranheim-Varnes project, 23 kilometers, required extremely detailed BIM models with every single piece of steel or rebar model from early design. After 2000 and onward, mainstream BIM first delivery. All major agencies, like today, all major Norwegian agencies now mandate openBIM ISO 9650 workflows with projects like Fornebu Metro directing that drawings must be used as little as possible. Yeah, so everything started here. I don't have everyone and everything here, but these are kind of like some of the milestones. But yeah, it's the public clients who has set this journey. And not only one started and the other ones have joined this journey. So this is the only reason why we got where we are right now. Challenges overcome, lessons from the Norwegian experience. Of course, as we can imagine, I'm sure we are right here. Everyone in this meeting, we are here. Because there was a lot of initial skepticism. Designers worried about liability, contractors about crew capability, solved through gradual pilots, success stories, and top-down client mandates, creating clear direction. It was the clients. This has succeeded only because the clients didn't give up. And they didn't stick only to pilot projects. They expanded these requirements for all their projects. They started with pilots, and after that, they didn't kill it there. They expanded. Skills development, investment in training programs, BIM coordinators on site, pairing experienced workers with tech-savvy staff. Once practical advantages became clear, adoption accelerated. Data quality. You can't do anything. Everything I told you here, it's possible only if you have good IFC models. If you don't have that, then you're screwed. You cannot do anything. And that's exactly where my expertise is at. That's exactly what I do. I help projects organizations to prepare savvy requirements for their data if they use IFC. I help with automating checks, quality checks of the models, and troubleshooting if that's necessary. So clear BIM requirements and rigorous quality assurance ensure models are complete and accurate as design documentation. These challenges were systematically addressed through a holistic approach encompassing technology, training standards, development, and cultural change management. It's still happening because not everyone is used to this. Not everyone does a good job when it comes to this, but it's happening and everything becomes better and better because this becomes the new way for everyone. The road ahead, Norway's blueprint for global construction. Key takeaways: proven feasibility, complex infrastructure can be delivered without traditional drawings. Business benefits: fewer change orders, faster approvals, improved predictability. Holistic approach: success requires technology, standards, training, and collaboration. Open standards are at the core of this. IFC enables interoperability and vendor independence. You don't have to. The most important thing here is that you ensure that everyone can speak the same language, and the documentation that you end up with, you don't have to pay a license to access that information, because an IFC model, you can open it even with Bonsai or with a text editor in the worst case scenario. So that's the power of open source and the open standards, because our standards, there is a reason why we have standards, right? And that's because you will not need to pay 4,000 euros or whatever it is, a Revit license to open a model that you might not even be able to open it after 2 or 3 years because maybe the version upgrade doesn't work well, or maybe there were some plugins involved in the process and they destroyed it. So yeah, that's kind of the power of openBIM. Norway's mantra: let the model do the work. By treating the model as the central source of truth, teams build virtually first, resolving issues digitally, then execute in the real world with confidence. I think still it's happening that general contractors are building without even having drawings or documentation. That's not the case. It was mandated by the contract. We couldn't build anything without having a model. Everything we build in this project, $1 billion, $1 billion, you can also say that, it's kind of the same, US dollars, American dollars, built only with models. You can do that. It's possible, right? But it has to be at the core. We didn't start building and then documenting this. There were some situations for temporary work. For that was our responsibility. But for everything permanent, we had to have a model before we started construction. Yeah, so teams build virtually first, resolving issues digitally, then execute in the real world with confidence. Future directions? Well, Norway continues refining the model-based approach with emerging integrations, digital twins for lifecycle management. Many clients have their own platforms for digital twins, and they are trying to transition there and get there. AI-driven model checking and validation, robotic construction guided by BIM data. There are many use cases already for this as well. When it comes to drones and other things, greater automation in design and fabrication. As of 2025, Norway stands at the forefront of construction digitalization, with a significant and growing portion of its infrastructure pipeline delivered without traditional drawings. The rest of the world is watching and beginning to follow this transformative example. Now, I think, Shahrul, should I go to the workshop, or should we take the questions first? And after that,
Maybe you can show the workflow, then we will open for the questions. Right?
Okay.
Maybe you can finish your slides, maybe.
Okay, cool. So this is just a, how to say this, like a snapshot into, like, it's just a presentation, just to make an idea, to understand what's happening. Now, to see something practically, the things that I told you that I'm usually helping clients with and students with, I'm going to create together with Shahrul a one-day workshop where I'm going to cover these kind of things, okay? So that you can test yourself and see, learn how, first and foremost, how this free tool works and see its potential, and also what means good quality IFC and how you can check that. How you can start implementing openBIM on your projects in a smart way, in a proven way, not a pilot way. Because I still see, unfortunately, many pilot projects across the globe trying to reinvent the wheel when they have it already shown so many times. Okay, so this hands-on training, it's one-day workshop. I think it's going to be 7 hours or something like that. Introduces essential openBIM workflows using Bonsai BIM, a free and native IFC BIM authoring tool. You learn how to leverage 100% open tools for efficient model-based project execution. It's more like not necessarily for project execution, but how to ensure that to establish a good strategy, to get and to make sure that you get good models, good information models that actually can be used for execution and for everything. So the goals, the objective, or the objectives of this workshop is going to be to help you get started with Bonsai BIM, to learn step by step how to work directly with IFC data, and how to think about when you create requirements and how these automated checks can be run. And also understand a little bit about the basics of the IFC schema, because everything you do with Bonsai helps you to understand how IFC schema works. Because Bonsai, it's a replica of IFC schema, or IFC OpenShell, the library behind Bonsai. It's a replica, it's a mirror of IFC schema in a Python library and C++. So everything you do in Bonsai, it's only IFC native, and that's why it's a so powerful tool. But the main approach, the main workflows are like learning how to establish good requirements to get good models from tools like Revit, Tekla Structures, ArchiCAD, because that's most professionals are using. But in order to do that, this can help you to understand what kind of requirements you have to ask for, how to check them, and how to fix eventually models if they have any issues, okay? So a great starting point for you. Who should join? This workshop is ideal for clients, consultants, contractors, manufacturers, academics, and students. Everyone, like everyone who is interested in openBIM and wants to learn something practical, wants to not just some images, some slides, not just a story. This is something practical that's going to open your eyes and mind to the opportunities out there. And like I said, Bonsai BIM is not the end of all and everything, and it doesn't do everything, but it's an extremely powerful tool to have in the stack of any kind of role you have. Either you are a BIM modeler, BIM coordinator, BIM manager, client, doesn't matter. If you have to deal with IFC, Bonsai is going to be the best tool you can use, even if you have other tools. I never gave up to using Solibri. I still had Solibri, but I was using 90% of the time Bonsai because it was so much more powerful when it comes to IFC models. Yeah, so the logistics are this. The date is going to be 5th of November from 9 to 5 p.m. There is a form here. I think you're going to get this in the chat as well, in the WhatsApp chat and on your email, I guess. And you will get a certification of participation, that you have participated with this, issued by Innovacia in collaboration with BIMvoice. HDR Corp claimable to be confirmed. Not sure what this means. Shahrul can explain that. And this is the price.
All right.
Yeah, you'll get, of course, more details about this by email or in the group, in the WhatsApp group. Now, before I take the questions, I think it's important to mention this as well. To continue your openBIM journey, if you're inspired by the Norway's model-based approach and by what I do, and want to stay updated with practical openBIM insights, let's stay connected. I'm very active on LinkedIn and YouTube. I have a YouTube channel, so if you follow me on LinkedIn, you should learn just in a very passive way, but you should learn just by reading my posts and asking me questions when you don't understand something or something doesn't make sense. And on YouTube, when you have more time to go deeper and you want to try to do some things, yeah, just BIM Voice. If you search BIM Voice on YouTube, you should find my channel, and on LinkedIn, Petru Conduraru. If you don't find it, you definitely find my name somewhere. Just search BIM Voice LinkedIn and you will find me there as well. Thank you very much. Now let's go over the questions. If you don't want to add anything about the workshop.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Petru, for the insightful presentation, actually. So before we go to Q&A session, I would like to highlight some of the key takeaways that have been highlighted by Petru. Firstly, Petru have explained about how Norway build up drawings, and I have picked some of the points of that. One of them is IFC. I have four actually. First is IFC, information-rich models, collaboration, and also digital tools that have been mentioned by Petru. So, and then Petru also highlighted about the challenges also. One of them is skepticism. Okay, so basically, I would like to ask some questions related to skepticism actually. So maybe before we open to any other questions, so I would like to ask the one of the questions. So the questions is some clients are reluctant to change from popular vendor file types to IFC. So they are still skeptical to IFC. Yeah, that is one of the challenges that you highlighted right now. So what can be done to change this perception in Malaysia in terms of the skeptical about IFC?
We're talking about change management now, and this, like we saw in Norway, it took almost 20 years. I think the easiest to explain and to convince somebody about the value of openBIM is if you have any challenges, existing challenges that you see, that you think openBIM could be the solution. And we can start easy because business people and leaders understand money. And you can start with seeing an overview over how much money do you pay monthly to the existing platforms that you have to pay for. And why? Because if you are a client, again, I'm talking about clients, right? Because everything starts there. Everything starts with the clients because there is no general contractor, or there are very few exceptions, but let's say like there is no general contractor or design or architect or engineer who is going to come to you and tell you, hey, start using openBIM. No, the client has to start that because they benefit the most out of this over the life cycle of a facility or building. And for them to understand, they have to look at why do they need Revit? Do they need, they pay for designing. They shouldn't have, like, if they don't have an internal design team, I don't understand why they should pay for an authoring tool to access their information. So everything starts there. That's one thing. Then you should look like what is happening in projects when you work with different teams that are using different tools. Like I told you, in our case, it was like around 10 different tools. It was not impossible to communicate in the same. I was getting at some point some inventor files from some provider, which I never could use. You know what we did with those? We had somebody who knew how to open those in Inventor and export decent IFC models. So there is no, I don't have the solution for that. My solution is technical one. I'm a technical guy, right? And I mostly help the people who understand and see already the value and want to upskill themselves into this. So I will not lie that I am a convincing partner. But yeah, I think we should start the easiest, and this is going to be different for each client. Start with the challenges that you are facing. Like, are you happy with paying, I don't know what is that bill for Autodesk every year? And not only Autodesk, also the other tools that you are using. Do you need to have them? As a client who should just receive data for handover and facility management, do you need authoring tools? And start there, and again, like, you have to map out that and see the value proposition and look at why it's happening, why this is happening, why is Norway doing this, and why it's Europe doing this. The US is still sleeping, but the entire Europe, by the way, I'm covering as we speak. Last week and this week I'm doing like a live stream almost every day, and I cover something called European openBIM Harmony framework, which is something that has recently launched at the European level. And this is something, a framework that intends to be implemented at the European level. So openBIM is going to be required. It's already has started to be required on many countries, but it starts to be implemented at European level. There might be something there, right? There might be a reason. What do you do? Let me tell you something about security, right? I've seen a lot of people here on LinkedIn. Autodesk ACC servers were not working or something like that a few days ago, or yesterday or 2 days ago, something like that. What do you do? It can be something politically, right? What happens, like, if something crazy politically happens and Trump puts Autodesk to cut all the licenses for everyone in Europe or Asia? What do you do then? Like, you never, like, again, I don't want, like, this might be extreme, I understand, right? But you have to start there. You have to see, like, what are the challenges and the risks, and see if indeed openBIM can mitigate that. But mainly that's it, right? Because I know for sure even clients who have Revit licenses, they have older models, like from 5 years ago. And when they want to use that that Revit model, what do you think happens? It's almost unusable. They have to use as much time as like designing from scratch. So again, like, it doesn't make any sense, right? But again, like, I don't have anything against Autodesk. We have to have businesses that are empowering our workforce and everything, right? But I'm just thinking, like, for public clients, everything should be around that, around security, collaboration, and to not be locked into something, to have the option to choose wherever you want. And using IFC gives you that. It doesn't matter which tool any designer or architect is using, you end up with something that can be accessed by anything. So that's kind of, sorry for the long answer, but yeah, that's kind of how I see things.
Yeah. Basically, there's one more questions related
Sure.
to. I think you have answered this question actually. So, how can you suggest for micro, small, and medium entrepreneurs in construction industry to start openBIM actually? So, in terms of technical part,
Mhm.
let's say that the client is not detailed that you need to use openBIM, but how can these kind of contractors like small, medium, and micro entrepreneurs need to start using openBIM? I
I
don't think
don't
that.
have a good answer for you,
Yeah.
unfortunately. I'll be honest, I don't have it because
Yeah.
my experience comes from a place where the client has requested,
I
and
see.
that was like I didn't care about the rest, right? Where, like, the problem for me was another, like,
Mm,
to align everyone to actually deliver what the clients needs.
mm,
This I have few examples, but not many of them, right? So I don't know, like, I don't think, I'll be honest about this. I don't think there is an incentive for you to actually go and do that if your client doesn't need it. Like, if you end up, unless you have clients that can use IFC, then you have a problem, right? If your
mm,
client requires you also DWG or a Revit file, then you can't do anything. So that's the first thing what clients have to fix. If they ask a specific for delivery format, then it's a big problem, right? The very small companies can use Bonsai for authoring. I have few examples, but it's not something that I know how it works in teams. I know for singular uh, companies, for example, I have few examples of people who are using Bonsai as their main authoring tools. I know an architect who does that. So he ditched Revit 5 years ago. That's IFC architect. He has a YouTube channel, and that's what he does. he managed to do all his work using bonsai and other free tools. But that's very extreme, and that's not something that you can learn overnight. Like the natural way of things should come from the clients. It should come from the clients, and not everyone is supposed to go and ditch Revit. Designers still have to do their job, but they can use bonsai to understand how bad their models are and learn how to do them better. And they can learn how to use ideas for the same purpose. And they can keep doing their job in that, right? But again, like, it's going to be very difficult to have a compelling case for a designing company unless you have a client who requests that. Because, yeah, it's very difficult to make a business case for that otherwise. Or a general contractor. A general contractor could do that, but they might struggle to find designing companies to deliver on their requirements. So there is no really a real incentive. That's why the client is the most critical stakeholder here. So if it's any chance for this revolution to happen, it has to start with the clients. That's what's happening and how happened in Norway, and not only Norway, everywhere. Like Finland is in Dubai as well. Even Dubai has started with digital permits like 5 years ago, and now it starts to happen. Finland starts next year. Like it was mandated this year, but it activates starting next year. Again, IFC-based permits given on IFC models. And there are more cases like this. So yeah, unfortunately, not an easy answer for something like that. And the use case should be that it should come from the client, but you can still do something about that. Everything starts with upskilling. You have to understand the value. You have to understand how things work, and you might be one of those change agents that are putting the shoulder to apply the change, right? So maybe it's not a 100% business case, but might be a good investment to some degree at least, to be ready so that you are one of the first ones and those who are actually changing and implementing it.
Okay, thank you for the answer. So
You're welcome.
basically, I will read the questions from our participants today. One of them is they are asking about bonsai. So basically, you need to explain a bit about bonsai, because if I'm not mistaken, bonsai is free. Actually, this doesn't have subscription for plugins, I think. So basically, just I read the question is, bonsai software is free for life or need to subscribe from some plugins? And is bonsai can be used to do modeling from scratch? Is that only for viewing? And then how modeler and industry to accept bonsai into practice?
Yeah. Again, I always, and I wouldn't go that far, but let's start with few things. So bonsai, it's free and open source. Very important thing to know here. And there is no plan for that to change. Meaning that you can use bonsai and you can even modify bonsai to work as you want. That's one thing. Bonsai at the same time is just a plugin which is installed in Blender, which is another free and open source tool, which again you can use for free and modify as you want. Open source and free. Blender has been open source and free almost forever. It has been for paying, but many years ago, before 2000s, and since 2000s, it has become. Oh my God, sorry for that. It has become open source. So this is a free open source tool which runs in another free open source tool. So nothing should change about this when it comes to the licensing and so on. Like the licensing is in such a way that if you modify something and if you can even sell it maybe to somebody, but everyone who gets the code is free to deliver it for free to everyone else. So that's kind of the licensing model. So I have a full video on 1 hour on this topic with the creator, with the bonsai creator, Dion Molt, which by the way, he grew up in Malaysia, in KL. Yeah. He lives in Australia now, but he grew up here. If you go on BIMvoice and search for a bonsai license, you will find this interview. Very interesting. I recommend you to hear from him exactly what he has to say about this. So no problem with that. Then let's go over the licensing aspect. Is bonsai can be used to do modeling from scratch instead of only for viewing? Yes. Bonsai is not just an IFC viewer. Bonsai is a fully fledged IFC native authoring tool. So that means that you can model from scratch in Bonsai, for sure. Everything you model and everything you do, you save in IFC. It doesn't understand any other format. Like Blender itself has the extension blend file, but in Bonsai, everything you do is according to the IFC schema that you are using. You can use IFC 2x3, IFC 4, which is most recommended, and IFC 4x3, which is the newest one for infrastructure. Now, there is also a catch there. It's not so easy to learn. That's why I even have this training, because it's extremely difficult to keep up with it, because it's always getting new features and so on, but it's possible, right? There are use cases, like I said. I don't know teams who are fully using Bonsai, but I know singular individuals who are using it. I have 2 of them as instructors in my training, and I know others. I also have 2 students in my training who also are using Bonsai as their main authoring tool. So I try to say that it's possible, but with a catch, right? It requires a lot of time, and the learning curve is quite high. That's why I always recommend everyone to start mostly to use it as a secondary tool, as something augmentative, and especially not for authoring, for modeling. I'm not saying it's impossible. You can do it, but you have to have patience and invest some time in it. But I always recommend it, on the other hand, to get started, to check IFC models and to fix them and to validate them with IDS. It's very, very simple compared to learning how to model. So that's kind of the answer.
All right. Thank you for the answer. So basically, I have one question related to the project. I think related to the project itself. So with the BIM LOD 300 during tender stage, does it mean the actual work program can be generated and contractor no need to submit their work program?
Let me try to understand. I'm a bit confused about this. With the BIM LOD 300 during tender stage, does it mean that actual work program can be generated and contractor no need to submit their work program?
Yeah.
What is work program? I don't understand the term of work program. Like this, like how the work is going to be conducted, or what? Or if it's about the quality of the model.
I
Like
think
if it's about something, now please clarify that. But until then, I would say this. I still hear a lot of people who, general contractors, which are designing internally their projects they are building, and they coordinate then with the designing to update to as built. If that's what you're asking, as I mentioned, in my project, that was not the case. In my project, we didn't do anything with the design until we got it from the client, from the designing team. And of course, we were involved in the process, and we provide them with feedback until we got enough information to be able to build it. So I don't know if that's what you refer, but if you refer to that, work program for construction. Not really. Like how you are going to build the project is still the constructing company, the general contractor who decided, but this was also forward to the designer, and the designer was using this information in the models, right? So it was a cooperation all the time. There were very many meetings, and always like it was a many, but it was at least a weekly interaction, a few weekly touch points between the teams, so that the designers knew, but the general contractor has decided when they are going to build and what, and designer has to deliver 6 weeks before or something like that to have the model. I think that, yeah, if that's what you mean.
so basically one question related to the, I think, bonsai. So how much different to develop for facility management compared to Archibus, FM system, etc. For I think for open source actually.
I have no idea. What I can tell you about Bonsai and IFC in general, I can tell you that IFC supports COBie. So if you are using COBie or if you are familiar with COBie,
Yeah, correct.
you can have COBie data in your IFC models.
Mm.
And Bonsai helps you with adding that information or exporting it, right? But yeah, so I don't know, to be honest, I didn't work too much with this. Usually in Norway, COBie is not used. But like if it's about information, it doesn't matter. You can put it and you can extract it. Think about IFC as to a database that you add information and you can extract it however you want, right?
Right. I think that's all from the question. So I think anything
I see one at the top from Chi Yuan Fong. How effective of the clash detection?
classification, yeah.
Able to be eliminated 100% clash?
Mm.
Yeah, why not? Sometimes maybe some things are skipping because of the planning. Like if you have a team on site and you have to do it and something changes, then you are in a big problem. But most of the time it was okay. You also have to keep in mind that for infrastructure, I think clash detection is simpler than for buildings because you have less disciplines on a limited space. In my case, for the tunnel, we had many concrete structures with some pumps and stuff like that, right? So most of the time you have concrete works and electrical and pipes. So just few holes between the walls and not really a lot of clash, to be honest. It's not like a building where you have much many things, right? And also the space is much more limited. So yeah, but I don't think there are any projects which are actually built maybe 100% clash free, but most of them usually they are identified early because the communication is quite important. And these teams, like I said, in Norway, it's very popular to use this interconcurrent engineering or whatever, something like that, meaning that they meet weekly. It's kind of a rule of thumb to meet at least weekly and have these coordination meetings and to discuss and find solutions for clashes. So not often happens. But I heard about, I was in a short job and for a general contractor on buildings, and on an entire project, they didn't make any openings for pipes. So they had to use almost $70,000 to do the holes for a story building, because they didn't do that in the clash detection, which has been much cheaper to do, for sure. And they had to waste a lot of time, of course, because they had to make these holes, these openings after they casted the concrete, which is not smart.
I see. So thank you for the question, for answer. So basically, for the clash detection, I think there's one of the features that available in Bonsai. So basically, if you want, if any participant interested to know more, maybe Petru can show during the workshop, right?
Yeah,
So
Bonsai has that.
yeah.
Let me mention this because it's important. It's
Mm,
not a feature that I used in production. It is existent in Bonsai, so you can use it. I can show you how it works and it's there, but I didn't explore it too much. So it's not one of my strong points when it comes to this, but the functionality is there. I just don't, I think the user interface is very poor. And that area is not so developed because it was not in the focus of Bonsai so far.
yeah.
But it's possible to do it. Also in
Mm,
Bonsai, also automating with IFC OpenShell.
yeah. So basically, one more question from the chat before I open to any participants want to
Yeah,
using mic. So
sure.
how to reduce the cost for BIM to implement with low cost project? Basically, this for client POV, I think. Reduce the cost for BIM to implement with low cost project.
Is that question here or are you asking me this yourself?
Uh, the question from participants actually.
Okay, it's here from Paul Chiang. how to reduce the cost for BIM to implement with low-cost project. There will be a cost for BIM. And the thing is, it's not possible to just go overnight and deliver good BIM models. It's going to be a learning curve. That's the thing. When you change and like tools and workflows, you're going to have to invest and have some patience. So that's one of the reasons why most small projects are not using BIM, right? Because of that, and the designers and the information producers don't have time all the time, because these projects have very little, have small budgets. In Norway, I think there is a threshold, and also in Europe, in Italy, I know they require openBIM, and again, I'm not talking about BIM, but openBIM, for all the projects over 1 million euros, which is not a lot actually when it comes to a building, because like most of blocks then become under that threshold, go over. So again, like, you still have to use tools, you still have to learn. It's a learning process, and it depends also who you work with. So that's like, there are too many factors to be able to provide you a clean solution to that. I know how to provide a clean solution if you have something like, hey, I have a client who needs this information in IFC models. For that, I can give you a clear roadmap, because I know, I've been through that. But something like this is way too vague, and it depends on way too many factors. Again, it's not a critique, just my personal opinion. And that doesn't mean that we shouldn't try to use BIM for everything, because I strongly think that we can do that. Like I mentioned, the architect that I'm talking about, that is using Bonsai fully, even he is still delivering drawings, he every time starts with a model. Everything he models, every project he does, he starts with a model in Bonsai. So he doesn't start with drawings and so on. He starts with a model, and then he provides the structural engineer and everyone else with DWGs, or he provides them with DXFs, because from Bonsai you can export DXF, not DWG, because I think DXF is an open standard. I'm not sure, I could be wrong, but I think, that's kind of the. So it's possible, but it's up to you. Like, everything starts with you. What is your patience? How much tolerance do you have when you learn something? How motivated you are into achieving something? Do you get any help? If you start yourself and do that, most of the time you are going to fail, and you are going to give up. Most people give up. Few people like IFC Architect and Stefano Veruggi, another guy who is using as an authoring, don't give up. But there are very few, right? Because the road is painful. It's possible, yes. Most people will give up on the way, though. So yeah, but it's possible to do it. So it can be free if you look at that. If you value your time, if you look at your time as an investment in this, then it can be free. You can do that. It's possible. And like I said, look, I think the amazing part for this guy is that it doesn't matter. Like, he starts every time with an IFC model, which can be used for quantities and everything, right? And then he provides every other stakeholder also with plans and the cross sections. So that's possible to do. It's not as easy as when you use AutoCAD or other tools. It's not as user friendly, but eventually you get used to it, right? But it's always like, that's the problem. The biggest problem with Bonsai is Blender, because Blender is not so CAD familiar for BIM people or for AEC people. It's a bit different. It's more, it's coming from computer gaming, and it's more like for artists, and it becomes overwhelming. So for those who make it, you can do it, right? But that's why I'm always going after those who are, like, for most people, and most people are going to be capable and able to use it for looking at models, checking information, and fix it if they have to. It's a much longer learning curve for that. But again, I'm not saying impossible. Nothing is impossible in this world, and you can do it if you have the motivation and the time, if you are willing to do that. And it's possible. And you can like, it's not only IFC Architect, there are more people. There is even one guy from the US who is who is using Bonsai as his authoring tool. He even has a course about that. Ryan Schultz, I think, is his name. So yeah, like, everything depends on like how motivated you are, and like it's very difficult to invent something, right? It's much easier to learn from somebody who has done that because you rent his experience, right? So that's kind of my sorry for not being able to give any short answer, man. Like only I go on a on, on a rant every time. It's not, there are no simple questions. Most of them, if it's not specifically very technical, then it's an open question, then you need, yeah, that's it.
Right. There one more question in the chat actually from
Sure, sure.
Shabu. So how does openBIM ensure data consistency and security across multiple stakeholders in a large-scale infrastructure project?
Consistency and
Mm.
security. Well, security is not necessarily like security. When I said security, I mean that you have a file, a model that you can access anytime with any tool you want that supports it. That's what I say. When it comes to security, to not end up in the hands of unexpected people, that's not on IFC. That's on the platforms that you are using and how you give access. Like it's about the BIM strategy in the project and how the administration happens, right? Who you share files with, if they sign an NDA and stuff like that. So yeah, that would be about the security. The consistency, well, IDS is an amazing tool, and if you are going to join the workshop, you will see that. IDS, Information Delivery Specification, which is another open standard, it's an automated way, like it's a translation of a BIM execution plan or an exchange information requirements. So you take the requirements from a spreadsheet or a PDF and you put them into a format which can be run into your model. And in a few seconds, you get instant feedback if you have the information or not. Very few people are still using this, by the way. I'm struggling. This is one of my biggest fights that I have ongoing, and I try to educate more people and teach them how to use IDS and understand the value, because that's exactly why Building Smart has created this open standard, because to have consistency in the projects. For those who don't use, they use other tools to check. But again, like they use Solibri and other tools, but IDS is the tool which has been built for that. And it's an open standard, which can be shared exactly as an IFC model. And it can be run and supported by different tools. So that's like every time, like for me, I used IDS for the last 2 years. And every time I got an IFC model, the first thing I was doing, I was running an IDS, because it was impossible for me to check 6,000 reinforcing bars if they have all the information. It was impossible. But to define what information I need in my model and run it and check it in 1 minute, it was possible. And that's how you do it, right? You have to have quality assurance routines, of course. Yeah, and IDS, it's amazing when it comes to that.
Right. So we open to any participants who want to ask directly to Petru. So we have opened the mic. So maybe any other questions? So we open to any questions on the floor.
Somebody is asking here, I see a question that slipped through the cracks. Do you have the slides presentation for sharing afterwards? I don't know. I could do that, but you tell me.
Yeah, basically for the we have recorded this kind of maybe after this we will upload this webinar into our YouTube channel. You can all participants can check there. Okay. Okay, so basically one of the question in the chat actually about IDS, as have you highlighted earlier, is IDS similar to project design brief?
I don't know what project design brief is, but project design brief sounds like requirements on a project, right?
Yeah, I think.
So IDS is an open standard. If you search IDS Building Smart on Google, you will get to Building Smart International, who have created this. And it's just like they define the way how IFC models should be checked, right? And in these IDS, you can put the requirements that are the technical requirements that are defined in your project. Like for example, you have requirements, let's say that you have to have fire rating in all the components in your wall. In a structural model, you should have load bearing for each object in your model, right? So these kind of things that are critical. Like for a reinforcing bar, you want to know which material it's used, what kind of steel, how is it bend, the form, right, and all this kind of stuff. So this information you can put, like, if it's in metadata, because IDS doesn't check geometry. So that's like is the information that is needed for information takeoff, if you want to take off information or to order materials or to build it, or to know what happened in the project if you are the client, right? So that's kind of what I'm referring to. Doesn't matter what kind of information, but information that has been needed and used by any of the stakeholders on the project. Does that make sense? I think I saw one more question, by the way, until we get more on that. I think I saw something about, yeah, what are the bonsai disadvantages compared to Revit or vice versa? Well,
Yeah.
I don't even know where to begin. But like I said, bonsai produced everything in open standard in IFC, and it's free and open source, and you can start there. And is not ready to be enterprise ready. Like, I wouldn't recommend it for a full company to use it. You are going to hit limitations. You are going to not find people who are going to hire people for your team. So that's why the best thing is for small teams and for individuals. And again, Revit, everything starts at what? $4,000 a year or what? Then it's up to you. There are other considerations. Like I said, you find talent who can use it, and it works how it's supposed to be. You get support and other stuff, right? Bonsai, you are on your own. If you are not in my community, then you are kind of on your own, because it's a free tool. No one asks anything from you. No one, like, there are some people who can help you, but not very often, right? Not everywhere. So that kind of, it's a choice. But once you start becoming acquainted with the tool, you cannot replace it, because there is nothing that comes even close when it comes to working with IFC. That's kind of how it is, right? It's like a poison. It's not easy to get started with it, but once you get the hang of it, even if you don't use it fully, only this tool, you are going to never give up to it, because as long as you are going to work with IFC, until something better will come along, because there is not.
Right. So we open to if there's any questions from we have opened the mic. So maybe about 5 minutes we give anyone who want to ask about anything related to our topic today.
But feel free to write even more questions in the chat as well if you are not comfortable
Yeah,
asking.
yeah, sure.
I'm eager to reply. So don't take any replies of mine too personal. It's just my personal opinion, and I don't know everything in this world. So yeah, I do mistakes as well. But this is my educated opinion when I reply to you, based on my experience.
Mm.
And again, like I said, in my project, that's the good part. In my projects, I had every tool that I needed. There was no shortage of budget for anything, and I still used Bonsai as my main tool. That's the craziest thing of everything.
So anyone? I think maybe about 1 or 2 more minutes more we open for any questions, either chat or maybe directly ask for to Petru. So
Let's see.
basically,
I see one more question here.
oh,
How to compare and compete with other commercial software, modeler and industry, to accept Bonsai into practice? Well, I wouldn't look like that to this. I would try to just use it for my purpose, without forcing it into somebody else. Like, just see if you can use it for what you need, and start there. I don't try to force it to anyone. I just try to highlight and help them understand the impact this tool could make for their workflows. So that's the way that I go about this.
I see. So basically, before we if there is no questions, I would like to conclude for our session today. So basically,
Sure, that sounds good.
yeah. So before I close our webinar today, so I would like to remind, as have Petru highlighted about the workshop. So basically,
Sorry, there's
yeah.
one more question.
There is a question. Okay, let me
my
answer
question.
this.
Right.
How do
So,
collaboration dynamics change between architects, engineers, and contractors under an openBIM model? Well, it's not just one openBIM model, it's an openBIM approach, workflow. And I recommend to, yeah, it's not so easy to reply to that in one reply, but yeah, like it's about workflow, right? You have to establish how this works. The designer has to deliver, you have to define what the designer is supposed to deliver. You have to include the general contractor in here to feed in what they need. And then the designer prepares, they do their design. And then in the end, they deliver the models having all this information. And this happens in a CDE. And they are supposed to use BCF as a communication means. Like if there are any clashes, if there are any missing things, whoever finds them should create a BCF issue and report back to them, and the designer is supposed to fix it and then deliver again until the model has enough information or has all the information needed for the purpose, for its purpose, right? For example, for the design coordination. Sometimes it's still most popular outside Norway. Most companies are still using IFC only for geometry coordination. They don't use it for information that it's used on site or other places or for the client at the end. So in that case, you can do that, right? If the contractor wants to use it on site and can use it on site, then it has to have the information that is relevant for them, that describes what they have to do, right? So, and that's kind of how it looks. It's not a one solution fit all. This workflow is created by different tools. Like you can use any tool. The designers can use any tool. They use a common data environment where they collaborate and they deliver the models and everything. But everything at the core of communication and collaboration and the work itself are IFC models instead of others. Like, I don't know, the same way, like there is no difference between how maybe you have Revit models. It's the same. Like you still want an effective workflow. You just have what's most important is that the end result, what is for the client, right? Is that they end up with an IFC model, but you still need the infrastructure to deliver and to empower everyone to participate efficiently in the project. Yeah.
right. So any other questions? So maybe we can.
No more.
No one. So maybe we wait for live. So if there's no question, so I would like to remind all of participants to who interested to know more about openBIM practically. So they have we have one is the workshop that have been highlighted by Petru. So basically, do not forget to register the hands-on, right? The hands-on training.
Yeah.
So as per mentioned by Mr.
Yeah, like the goal there is not so that only me do things. I hope to do things together so that you leave after that and know how to, like you have working bonsai on your computer first, and then you know how to create an IDS, and you have an IDS that you check an IFC model or something like that. So yeah.
All right. So and then the registration opens for the workshop that have been highlighted by Petru. So opens until 30 October 2025. And then for those who wish to know more about openBIM, there was one more upcoming Building Smart Professional Certification Foundation Program. So this is actually more foundation. So if you know more, you can register in the links that we have given in the chat. So basically, thank you, Mr. Petru, for the time and sharing.
My pleasure.
Into the sessions. I hope we can meet again during hands-on training, right? So again, on behalf on organizing team, thank you for joining our webinar today for all the participants. I hope that we can meet again in the next training session alongside Ms. Petru and also another webinar sessions. So feel free to visit
sure.
our website www.innovacia.com.my. You can check there, and our social media, Binatech in FB and Innovacia Media in YouTube. Let me share the link of the. So this is our social media. So basically, you can check here. So we have Facebook, Binatech, FB. So any updates, any webinar announcements, any upcoming trainings, and also existing solutions related to digital construction, feel free to contact us here. So thank you and see you again. So thank you for your
Thank you, everyone. Again, thank you very much, everyone. Thank you very much.
All right.
See you around. Have a good one.
See you.
Bye.
All right.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.